And speaking of heating up the Miami Heat, Boston Celtics Game 7. Oh, what happened? What happened, Boston? Everybody picked Boston to win Game 7. Everyone had the same idea. If Boston, in some way, somehow, get it to Game 7, they are going to win. There's no way in hell Miami's going to be able to win Game 7 in Boston after losing 3 straight. I felt like the way they lost, in particular, the last second tip-in from Derek White, history was supposed to be made. Boston was supposed to be the first team in NBA history to come back from a 3-game deficit to go on and win the series. It was written in the stars. 103-84 victory for the Miami Heat. And I mean, it wasn't even close. Every time the Celtics cut it, the Miami Heat would just blow it back up. Jaylen Brown, his turnover is good. Gosh, the ball needs to be out of Jaylen Brown's hands. He's not that type of player. He's not a guard. He's a wing. He's a wing player who has a tough time with the handle. He has terrible ball security. It just wasn't very good. Everything right in front of you. Everything was supposed to be done, and you guys lose it that way. Caleb Martin, 26 and 10. Double for Caleb Martin, the game of his life. Even on the broadcast, Reggie Miller and these guys were saying Caleb Martin is playing his way into a big contract. He's playing his way into big money. He had been consistent all series long, just being a thorn in the side. Jimmy Butler had 28, a cool 28 in this game for Jimmy Butler. So he was doing his thing, but it was the defense. 84 points in the Game 7 for the Boston Celtics. 84 points. You can't have it. This is it. There's no tomorrow. 84 points in the closeout game. 84 points in the Game 7. You're just not going to beat anybody with that. Jimmy Butler had 28. Martin had 26. Nobody went crazy. There was no 45-point game from anybody on the Heat. Offensively, it was terrible for Boston. Jason Tatum finished with 14 points, and he got hurt on the first play of the game. And I don't want to make excuses. I don't want to say, oh, if Jason Tatum didn't get hurt, Boston would have yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to make that excuse. I'm not going to say that Boston wins if Jason Tatum doesn't get hurt. It just sucks that he did get hurt just because it makes it that much. I mean, you need your stars for a Game 7. I expected Jason Tatum to have a big game, and that really sucks for him. I mean, it pains me. Think about if it was you, right? You are supposed to be the superstar of the team. You're looking at the mirror. You're telling yourself tonight's going to be a big night. I'm going to have the best game of my career, and we're getting to the NBA Finals. And on the first play of the game, you get hurt, twist your ankle, and now you have to play the rest of the game hobbled. I mean, he was clearly limited. It was supposed to be his night. It was supposed to be the one where he shows up. He's that superstar that we all think he is, and instead, he gets hurt. He finishes with a 14. He's just a shell of himself. Okay, Jason Tatum's hurt. Jason Tatum can't do it. Jason Tatum can't really go. He's pushing through the pain. He's doing everything he can. Every move, every cut, every shot, every layup, every defensive effort he gives. You see him grimacing and hobbling and favoring that left ankle. So now it's on Jaylen Brown. Hey, you're the second best player on this team. And we've seen this time and time again. When you have these 1-2 punches, if one guy struggles, sometimes the other guy can come up and become the superstar. This is all setting up. Hey, Jason Tatum's hobbled. He's limited. Jaylen Brown, now it's your time. This is your moment. This is your time to shine. This is your opportunity to go out there and drop 35 points in the Game 7, drop 40 points in the Game 7, and get the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals. One of the worst games I've seen Jaylen Brown have as well. Turns the ball over. He had more turnovers than made shots in this game. He cannot stop turning the ball over. His ball security is terrible, and he's going to have to work on this in the offseason. There's no way in the world Boston was going to win with that type of performance with a hobbled Jason Tatum. The other thing I didn't like is Robert Williams. I know I talked about it on Monday's podcast. Robert Williams and Al Horford and knowing when to play who. Listen, I've never wavered on the Joe Mazzulla stuff. It was one of those scenarios where I was like, yeah, they kind of had to make him the interim coach. We'll see how this goes. I don't know how it's going to play out. But I just didn't like what the Boston Celtics were doing in a lot of scenarios. And even when the Celtics went on this 3-game run, I still was like, I'm not a huge fan. I even think I remember saying that I hated the last play drawn up in Game 6. How do you not draw up a better play for Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown to get the ball? How is it a pass to Marcus Smart who's coming towards the ball where he has to catch and fade away from the 3-point line? Like, how is that the play that you drew up? Tatum and Brown don't even touch the ball in the final possession. Luckily, Derek White saves the season. at that point. So I've stayed critical of him. And in this series especially, I've been very critical about him playing the wrong guys at the wrong times. And Robert Williams comes into the game. The Celtics are down 13. Robert Williams comes in. He gives them that defensive explosion. He gets a couple offensive rebounds. And the Celtics are somehow able to take that 13-point lead down to 7. As soon as they get to 7, Miami Heat calls a timeout. We come back from the timeout break, from the commercial break. Al Horford's back on the floor. Robert Williams is back on the bench and immediately back up by double digits. I'm like, what are we doing? Those are my issues. They also need a point guard desperately. And the weird thing about the Celtics is they have guards. Like, you have Derek White, you have Marcus Smart, you have Malcolm Brogdon, and none of those guys are ever with the ball in their hands. None of those guys are ever playing a point guard role. Marcus Smart, from time to time, they need a point guard that's going to demand it as well. Like, to do what Marcus Smart does, they need a point guard that is just so good that they're like, no, you have to give him the ball. He has to be the playmaker. He has to be the primary ball handler on the team. The primary ball handler cannot continue to be Tatum and Brown. Like, they have to get to spots where they're good. Give them the ball in the post, on the wing, certain areas where they get the ball in those situations, coming off of screens, catch and shoot, backdoor stuff. Like, they have to be more involved with that. Brown pushing the full length of the court, even Tatum at times pushing the full length of the court. Why are we doing this? All these turnovers, we're going to have 8 turnovers for Jaylen Brown before we get the ball out of his hands and say, hey, we're going to set you up on this low block, or we're going to set you up on the wing. We're going to get you off of screens. We're going to get you off of movement and get you the ball where you only have to take a couple dribbles to get into your spots. No, we're going to sit there and let him dance and turn the ball over. So again, they need another point guard, but more importantly, they need their guards to be guards. They need somebody that's going to say, hey, you guys aren't going to play with the ball anymore. Tatum, Brown, you guys are not going to sit here and dribble with this ball. This is not your guys' game. You don't have to do that. To Brown's credit, I'm sure he's going to work on it. I won't be surprised if Jaylen Brown in the next 2 years becomes very secure with the ball. I think he just kind of has that mentality. You can tell that Jaylen Brown's not a guy that just settles. Like, he wants to be better every year. Same thing with Jason Tatum. And I was talking about how history can be made. Boston could be the first team to ever come back from a 3-game deficit. Well, history has still been made. The Miami Heat are now the second AC to reach the NBA Finals, and they now have an opportunity to become the very first, the one and only AC to ever win, to ever lift up that Larry O'Brien trophy. The Miami Heat have an opportunity to do so. Hey guys, thanks for watching this clip from the Sicko Sports Podcast. If you want to catch the full episodes, you got to head over to Spotify. Just type in Sicko Sports Podcast, or you can just click the link that's down in the description. Thanks as always. See you next time.